starts now.
This is KCTV 5 News at 5.
This is not the first time that black churches have been attacked. And we know that hatred across races and faiths pose a particular threat to our democracy and our ideals.
The suspect in a church massacre had no words as police shuttled him out of a police station late this afternoon.
The white gunman's accused of killing 9 innocent people in a historic black church. Right now, 21-year-old Dylan Roth is in custody. Around 11 a.m., he was caught during a traffic stop 4 hours away from that crime scene after a tipster called in. The manhunt over.
And this video is just in from North Carolina, where we're told the suspect should be arriving any minute. He's being transported from an airport in Shelby, North Carolina to South Carolina, where he will then formally face murder charges. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Brad Stevens.
And I'm Ellen McNamara. Our in-depth coverage starts right now.
In-depth coverage, we have KCTV5's Marley Hall in South Carolina with up-to-the-minute details on the investigation. Heather Staggers has reaction from local parishioners, and Banyan Lee is taking a closer look at church security. Let's begin with Marley Hall with the latest on the church massacre.
Brad and Ellen, the massacre at this church has left the community stunned and angry that such violence could occur in a place of sanctuary. The manhunt for 21-year-old Dylan Roth ended in Shelby, North Carolina this morning when police pulled over his dark-colored sedan. Roth is accused of killing 9 people during a prayer service inside a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina.
He was cooperative with the officer who stopped him. We don't have any reason to believe there was anybody else involved.
Police say surveillance images show Roth entered the Emmanuel AME church last night. He apparently sat in on a prayer meeting for about an hour. A law enforcement source tells CBS News a witness reported Roth then stood up and said something about shooting black people and opened fire. Among the dead, South Carolina state senator and the church's pastor, Clementa Pinckney.
And give you peace, and give you peace.
Today, Governor Nikki Haley joined the congregation for a prayer vigil.
And so we have some grieving too. And we've got some pain we have to go through.
The Emmanuel Church is one of the oldest historically black churches in the country, with deep roots in the civil rights movement. President Obama says he knew Pastor Pinckney and expressed anger that he died in a type of mass violence not seen in other advanced countries.
Once again, innocent people were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun.
The FBI is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. A mother, a track coach, a librarian, and a recent college graduate were among the other victims gunned down. In Charleston, South Carolina, Marley Hall, KCTV 5 News.
And Roth has waived extradition and is expected to be returned to South Carolina sometime tonight. Now, here in Kansas City, members from the AME Church opened their doors to all denominations for prayer today.
KCTV5's Heather Staggers continues our in-depth coverage now, live from the Bethel AME Church with reaction to how they're dealing with the tragedy. Unfortunately,
it's at times like these when parishioners say there's only one thing to do: pray.
But we thank you, God, that you are present with us.
That's why clergy, civic leaders, and just people who wanted to be there gathered at Bethel AME Church today on North Flora for a noon prayer. This after a gunman opened fire in an historically black South Carolina church Wednesday night, killing 9 people.
We have to hold on and embrace the idea that the church is a sanctuary. It is a place of peace.
Eva Schulte decided to join the prayer vigil.
When I heard that it was a white man who was welcomed into Bible study, I recognized how the devaluation of black life, and when he saw black life at the back of his barrel of his gun, and was able to do what he did, it is a systemic evil and racism that we have to stand up against.
Today, they all stood in prayer, different denominations, races, and ages.
Unfortunately, the tragedy that took place at our sister church, Mother Emmanuel, according to the Holy Scriptures, means God with us. And so even in spite of this tragedy that took place, we still believe God is with us.
That was Heather Staggers reporting. Now, all day we've been gathering more information about the accused killer, this man, Dylan Roth. Now, a photo, and particularly a jacket that he's wearing, tells you a lot about his beliefs and the hate that filled him. The two flags promote hate, and Dylan Roth proudly displays them on his body and on his Facebook page. One is of the apartheid-era South Africa, the other from the white-ruled Rhodesia. White supremacists identify with the offensive emblems. This new video out of Shelby, North Carolina shows the accused killer. He said nothing. Retired Kansas City FBI agent Michael Tappan told KCTV5 this about Roth.
These are people who are driven by their lack of acceptance into society, their lack of power. So now he can fulfill all that. He shoots people who are defenseless. He has the power. Now he's been arrested. He's in the news, and his story will be told.
Roth had no disguise as he entered the Emmanuel Church, one of the oldest historically black churches in the country. He drove up in his car, then on the front had a Confederate flag. That same car stopped about 250 miles away when he was arrested. Pastor Clementa Pinckney, along with 8 other African Americans, murdered in what was supposed to be a place of peace. The cousin of Pastor Pinckney said Roth said, quote, "I have to do it. You rape our women and you're taking over our country and you have to go." Roth grew up in Eastover in Lexington County, North Carolina. His family's property searched today. Court records show that Roth had 2 prior problems with law enforcement. In February, he acted odd outside of a shopping mall and was questioned. An officer also found illegal prescription drugs on him. He was charged with felony drug possession. In April, he was arrested at that same mall for trespassing. A classmate told the Daily Beast that Roth often told racist jokes and was known to use prescription meds. And Reuters reported that Roth got a .45 caliber handgun as a birthday present from his father. He'll make his first court appearance at the Shelby County Courthouse. He'll have to be moved, though, to South Carolina to face charges. That state does have the death penalty.
And this tragedy might have some parishioners wondering if this could ever happen to them. So we sent KCTV5's Banyan Lee out to local churches to find out what they're doing to make sure its members stay safe.
She's live now from Leawood with that story. Banyan.
Well, I'm standing in the security room here at the Church of the Resurrection in Leawood, where you can see surveillance cameras keep tabs on every corner of this large church, which houses about 7,000 to 10,000 congregation members every Sunday. But church leaders tell me what's more important is being able to keep their doors open.
Whether it's in well-populated areas like where this Unity Temple sits.
We are on the plaza, so it is a high-trafficked area. We have security cameras and we have security people, and we do have certain rooms that are always left locked.
Or in suburban Johnson County.
It has a lot to do, I believe, with the fact that the church is essentially open from early in the morning to late at night, with a multitude of people coming and going, different people throughout the day.
Church leaders metro-wide take security seriously, but it's a fine line.
Whether it's emotional or substance abuse or any sort of trauma, we ask them to come to church, but we shouldn't be surprised when they do show up.
Most churches use surveillance cameras and security officers, 135 security personnel at the Church of the Resurrection in Leawood.
I don't think it would get to the point of a metal detector.
But pastors say it's important to keep a place of worship welcoming for everyone.
We do want to keep the churches open and welcome to all people, but we'll doors open with our eyes open to respond.
Now, there's a reason why safety and security procedures stay in back rooms like these. Most church leaders tell me safety is something they want their members to feel but not see. Live in Leawood, Banyan Lee, KCTV5 News.
Banyan, thank you. Now, this church massacre in Charleston comes a little over a year after a horrific hate crime happened in Johnson County. Frazier Glenn Cross is charged with killing 3 people outside of local Jewish facilities. Terry Lamano was gunned down at Village Shalom Retirement Center. Before that, Reed Underwood and his grandfather, William Corporon, were killed outside of the Jewish Community Center near 115th and Knoll. And we talked to officials there today about the security changes made after those murders. They say the Department of Homeland Security did a safety audit. An experienced security director was hired to beef up security at the community center and local synagogues. Workers also went through new security training.
President Obama spoke out today. Now, the Obama family knew the pastor who was killed. President Obama said that while now is a time to mourn, the country must take a second look at gun control.
We don't have all the facts, but we do know that, once again, innocent people were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun.
The Attorney General has announced plans for the FBI to open a hate crime investigation. The president went on to say that the country must do something about the fact that this type of mass violence does not happen in other advanced countries.
And the Kansas City Chiefs are mourning today's tragedy. The pastor killed was the cousin of Chiefs player Sanders Cummings. Cummings tweeted this out just about an hour ago, saying, "Rest in peace to my cousin Clementa Pinckney. Hashtag prayers for Charleston. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family in this terrible time." Now, we will continue to stay on top of this story throughout the night with in-depth coverage and have the latest on KCTV5 News at 6. Also at 6, what we found out about hate crimes right here in the metro and the motivation behind them. So remember, for the latest information on this story, you can always go to our website, kctv5.com. You can also go to our Facebook page to join the conversation and offer your condolences to those affected by today's tragedy. Well, Storm Track 5 meteorologist Haley Schulman joins us now with a look at our forecast. Haley?
And you know what? It's not too bad out there right now. It is a little humid and warm, but for the most part, no showers or thunderstorms in our area. That's well down to the south. This is a live look using our Diagnostic Imaging Center's tower camera. We've seen plenty of cloud cover throughout the day, but again, we haven't seen much rain, and we will likely keep it that way as we head throughout your evening hours. Using Storm Track 5's live power Doppler radar, we do have a few little scattered showers out there near Lexington up towards Carrollton. And between now and sunset, we will keep an isolated chance of a shower, maybe even a thunderstorm in our forecast through the evening hours. Here's a look at kind of the big picture. Again, the heavy rain. This is what was once Tropical Storm Bill pushing off to the north and to the east. We're seeing the cloud cover, but we're not going to see much of this rain as it will stay well down to the south of us. As we look at temperatures around the region, 70s and 80s. We're at 80 in Bethany, 82 in Richmond, and 81 degrees in Lawrence. Coming up in our Storm Track 5 forecast, we do have an isolated rain chance tonight. We'll talk about one more cooler day headed our way, and then get ready for that summer heat. We'll have more details on that part of the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Brad.
Thank you, Haley. Two teens bitten by a shark just hours apart. Now, one of those teens gets to finally go home.
We'll have the latest on how both teams are doing now after a horrifying experience in the water.
With school out for summer, many parents are looking into summer camps. We're going to show you how to find the perfect match for your child.
You're watching KCTV5 News at 5.